Hey everyone, Blade Ninja 009, and this will be my fourth review of this channel, and that is of Persona 4 the animation. Now, Persona 4 the animation is based off of Persona 4 the game, not Golden. Golden is a version that came out 2 years ago, which is a slightly updated version of Persona 4 the game. It is a extra story. It has extra stuff like an extra character and extra events and all that. This is based off the original source material and the original game, so I just want to let you know. I might do a review of Persona 4 Golden. I might not, because honestly they're the same thing in my opinion, albeit just one extra character being thrown into it and them altering the story slightly here and there. But for the time being, I'm just going to focus on this review. Now, Persona 4 animation is going to be 26 episodes long, and the story is pretty simple in concept. It has a group of high school students that discover a hidden realm within their own called the Midnight Channel. The Midnight Channel is a channel that happens on rainy nights at midnight, showing people on the channel that end up the next day dead. Now, what this group of students could discover is that they could actually enter this realm and actually fight off the creatures that exist in that realm via their powers inside called persona. And personas are the individual's characters' weaknesses and flaws given strength and power. It's a pretty cool concept. I've always loved that about the series, is that they made weird characters and weird creatures that are based off of flaws and based off of weakness, not based off just pure strength. Now, what this animation does is it takes the source material for Persona 4 and actually melds it pretty nice. I mean, put this in retrospect for everyone. Persona 4 the game is 40 to 50 hours long. Golden is about 60 to 70 hours long. What this show does is it takes that 40 hours and puts it into like 10 hours. And I'll tell you right now, that's an amazing feat. And it actually does it really, really phenomenally well. It has some weaknesses here and there because it's, again, taking out some of the extra elements. Like you won't see some side stories, you won't see some little tidbit characters show up. But I mean, for the most part, this is an adaptation that does its job by taking all the source material from the original concept and running very close to it. As close as you can, and I give them credit for that. That is a phenomenal job. This is a phenomenal anime because of that. Now, the animation's solid. I love the animation. Probably one of the strongest parts of the series. The voice work is amazing. It's actually got some very famous voice actors. For example, Johnny Bosch, Yuri Lowenthal, for just to name a few. And the whole story plot is very good. If this thing has any weakness, and it's really hard for me to say it even is a weakness, it's that because they throw out some of that extra plot, diehard fans of the games might complain and cringe a little bit because, again, you're throwing out little things here and there. But I'll tell you right now, it's not that big of a weakness. It's just a small weakness. I'll have to say, Persona 4 the animation is one of the few adaptations I've ever seen of a visual novel or a video game in general. And I say visual novel because most adaptations are usually of visual novels. This is of a Japanese RPG, but most are visual novels. But this takes an adaptation, it runs with it very well, to the point that I give it a score from an A through F. I give it a score of a B+. It's not an A or an A-, it's a B+. And I say that only because it has its moments where the story is like, okay, it's not that great. And it has its moments where I think if you're a fan of the games in general, you forgive some of the story when it's a very cliche story. I mean, the premise, it's still a story about a group of high school students fighting the villains. And if you've watched anime, you've known that that's a kind of trope that's always overly used. You have groups of high school students fighting demons or creatures. It's been done before. But Persona does it in a way that I think is very unique because it doesn't focus on that concept, it focuses on the characters individually, and that's what makes this series always so great. So overall, it's definitely worth a watch. I would say if you have a PS2, a PS Vita, play this game. I don't know why you would not if you're a fan of JRPGs or a fan of anime, because this is probably the quintessential game to play. And my question for everyone for this video is, if you had a Persona, what would it be based off of? Would it be based off fire? Would it be based off ice, lightning? I mean, that's one of the major elements of every Persona this series, is that they're based off of elements. I mean, they're based off also the character weaknesses and such, but the major thing is that they have elements based off of them. So what would you be able to summon? Would you be able to summon like a creature of fire or a creature of ice, etc., etc.? Anyways, till next time, till I pass across again on the next review.